Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the NSCAC Presents Behind the Bench. Today, our topic of discussions is grassroots soccer, where future stars get started, fundamental soccer. With me, we have Karl Dewazien, who's a former director of coaching for California Soccer. Karl, good morning. How are you?
I am terrific now that I can hear you without an echo.
Perfect. And with us as well, we have Jason Blake, who's the technical director of Central Alberta Soccer Association. Jason, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hi, Valerio. I feel much better that I'm not going to come on and sing a song to keep the crowd entertained.
We were worried for a while that you were going to have to do this solo just to get it up in the air.
I'll give it a go.
So today our discussion, guys, is grassroots soccer. It's any boy or girl wanting to play soccer that's 12 years or younger, and I think one of the key words we're using is fundamental. And I think at this age, I know with our academy, our main focus is to make sure that the player is having fun each and every session, and is dragging or demanding the parent to bring the player to the next practice, and that to us is what we rate our success at that age, is making sure that they're coming back every week or every session, and they're leaving with a smile on their face. Karl, what are your thoughts on grassroots soccer and keeping it fun for those players at that level?
Well, make it quite simple. All you need to do is ask yourself, what do players come to practice for? And it's actually inside of their name, isn't it? They come to play. They don't come to be listened to, run laps, and all the other things that we as adults do to them. They come to play. And when the children play, in most cases, they don't want to finish playing unless an adult interferes. And so I would say, and this is my motto when I start a practice with the younger age group, is if the ball is moving and the players are moving, some learning is taking place. If the ball stops moving and the players stop moving, learning stops.
Jason, your thoughts?
I think Cole said some of the most important things that are essential with young players, male or female, enjoying the game, and I think that's play the game. But Cole did also mention one really important word, and that was keep it simple. The simple aspect of it. The game is a simple game, and coaches can overcomplicate it, and I think that takes a lot of the fun and enjoyment out of it for the players. So I just, excuse the pun, but I echo what Cole says.
I agree. I think sometimes we as coaches want to just hear ourselves talk and ramble, and we have to take a step back and put ourselves into the players' mindset and say and realize that they didn't come here to listen to us. They came here to play, enjoy, have fun, and go home.
That's the bottom line. The unfortunate part is that we adults, we start using words, and I'd like to use a word that I use inside of my practice session, and it's called fundamental soccer 9-step routine. Now, the reason that I mention the word routine is because everybody thinks that as soon as we apply a routine, it becomes boring. Well, it becomes boring for the adult. The children, if they're playing and if they're active, they can't get bored. The adult gets bored because of one reason: they're not active. So we become active by observing the child, and the very first thing that we want to do is help them out, and we're constantly talking. Anytime that you're talking, you're interfering with them playing. So, and as a matter of fact, yesterday, and I'd like to read this to you, because I was always criticized for using the word routine, and yesterday was the first time I had somebody that actually supported my stance, and his name is Todd Bean, who's the founder of the Tobo Institute. If you checked his article yesterday, it was Eliminate Mediocrity. And he says, these are the two lines I'd like to read to you. If I wanted to perpetuate mediocrity, let me tell you what I would do at the training session. Number one, I would avoid establishing engaging routines. If you want to nurture excellence, we must abandon mediocrity. Number one, establish an engaging routine. In other words, you need the children to know what to expect. Once they understand what to expect, then you can teach them. And I came up with 9 steps, and hopefully we can cover those in a little while. but it has to be a routine because we are creatures of habit. And all I need to do is just ask you, if we change that routine, what happens to you? For example, tonight, I'd like for you to go with your spouse and trade where you go to bed and get up tomorrow morning on the other side. See how you feel about that upcoming day.
No, I think you make a lot of interesting points, Karl. I think based on my experience, I see when we change the routine of a child at that age, you almost throw off their whole entire day. And sometimes, you see a player from Monday to Friday and they're fantastic at training session because there's a routine. They wake up in the morning, they go to school, they come home, they do some homework, they have dinner, and they come to training. Then comes Saturday and Sunday, and the routine has changed, right? Maybe they've stayed up a little bit later on Friday. Maybe they went to bed, they woke up a little bit later on the Saturday or the Sunday, and then you notice that the performance in whatever we're doing on Saturday, Sunday has changed. And I think it's important to keep that routine as consistent as you can, so that the child could perform at whatever they're doing.
Well, if you want me to add a little bit to it, all you need to do is take good school districts. And I think it has to go also back to the clubs. If you have a good school district, they have a routine, which means that the classes are always the same from kindergarten all the way to at least 8th grade, not necessarily in high school, but you maybe have reading, writing, arithmetic, and art. If you go from kindergarten all the way to the 8th grade, they'll keep that routine. And it should be the same, I think, with clubs who the terminology or the way that you run your practice session with your 18-year-olds, it should be the same with the 4 and 5-year-old. The only difference is the way that you approach the children. Under 10s and younger, you need to be very patient. 10 to maybe 14, you have to be persistent because you need a lot of routine to make it sink in. And then with the older ones, obviously it's psychology, because if they've stuck around long enough with the abuse that we run them through, then they're tough soccer players. Anyway, U10s and younger, patience. Why? Because they need to learn to love to play this game. If they don't love it, then you can't do the routines later on during the 10 to 14 age group, because here's when you do the persistent things of repetition, doing things over and over until it's instilled. So just a few more thoughts.
Yeah, I attended it's funny you say that, Karl, how important it is at 8, 9, and 10, because I attended my Ontario Soccer Technical Director Diploma, and they brought that up. They said that out of 10, so if you have a team of 10 players, a U8, by the time they get to U10, 7 out of those 10 players have quit the game of soccer. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge number. So, having that in mind, Jason, and you're the technical director of Alberta, what would be some of the things you would put in at that age to make sure that we're not losing 7 out of 10 players in 2 years?
Yeah, Valerio, it's a great question. I've been in Canada 2 years now, and I spent most of that time just listening and observing. And a couple of real big things that I think, and it goes back to Karl's point about playing the game. Roster sizes really, I struggle sometimes. I see games where there's more players off the field than are on the field, and it goes back to what Cole said. We have to cultivate a love of the game. And if young players aren't playing the game, how can they love the game? So for me, that's a really big concern, and I appreciate the challenges of kind of funding and that side of things. And obviously the more players we have on a roster, the more subscriptions and so on. I understand that. But for me, the most important thing is the children and them playing. And if they're not playing the game, then I think the adults, the leadership, the custodians of the game at this current time, I think we have to look at ourselves and say, how do we adapt it? We have some quite rigid structures of competition and tournaments and tiering. And I get asked more by parents, what tier is your club, than what are the benefits for my child. And I think we have to rewrite that narrative. I think there's a lot of work to be done.
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online, click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.